Hey everyone, this is Randy from BibleBuyingGuide.com. Today I'm taking a look at the LSB Legacy Standard Bible Giant Print Reference from Steadfast Bibles. This one is the indexed edition, and it is in edge-lined Burgundy Goatskin. So let's take a look. 316 Publishing sent me this in exchange for an honest review. And here is the little slip cover that it came in. It comes in a fancy box. That is a sturdy box. I like that. Here is the Burgundy Goatskin. I love that color. I love that grain. It's got a deep grain. You can feel that grain with your fingers, no trouble at all. A little bit of a yap or overhang. Not a full yap, but it does look good. 3 ribbons, 3/8" ribbons in black, burgundy, and gold. And they look really good with this color. Here is the spine. Spine is interesting. It does have 5 raised hubs, but they're not large hubs, and 2 are close together, and then 2 close together, and then the stamp texting in gold. Nothing on the front, nothing on the back. And then a leather liner, also in burgundy, with an arrow gold line, decorative line all the way around the inside. Perimeter stitched, and you can see that on the inside too. Edge line tab. Now, they've done something with the synthetic material inside the spine. It does give it extra structure in here. The way they described it is made really well, and it is sturdy. So let's take a look. We have several thick end sheets in the front. This will give it structure rather than presentation pages or anything like that. There's blank. And this is matte finished. Of course, this is Smythe sewn. 32 GSM paper. It is a coated paper. Feels thicker than it is. White in color. Highly opaque. I do like this paper a lot. It can be a little bit difficult to turn in some cases, depending on the weather, more than anything else for me. Doesn't quite want to separate with my fingers that easily, but it's not a big deal. It's easy enough to use. Printed in Korea. Typeset by 2K Denmark. The best typesetters in the world, in my opinion. And then our forward to the LSB. Now, the 95,000 references are from Lockman. And the footnotes, this does have the full set of footnotes, but they're the LSB footnotes. So they're not NASB footnotes. The references are NASB. So 2-column text, 13-point font with extra large and bold verse numbers that are easy to find. So this is a 2-column in paragraph with about 6 to 8 words per line, depending on the lines. Lots of space between the lines, very readable. Red line separating the columns and the references. References and footnotes are together in the footer. And then, as you can see, we have red highlights for the book names, for the chapter numbers, also for the header, which gives us the page number in the center, and then the book name and chapter numbers in the outer margin. So it looks good. Dark and readable. I like this font. I'm not sure what font they used, but I like it a lot. Supplied words are in italics. And then we have a poetic setting. We have letters. Letters look like letters. Poetry looks like poetry. There's some poetry. List and letters look really good. So here's a letter in Ezra. And then we have a list in Ezra. There's a list. And as you can see, this is the indexed edition. The index tabs have 3 books per tab. So it's fairly easy enough to use. I don't like it when they put 4 per tab. So these have 3 per tab. That's a little bit easier to deal with. There's our poetry. Take a look at Psalms. Psalms looks really good. I like the look of this. Books start on the page where the previous book ended. There's some red. It looks really nice. I like the red highlights in this. It looks good. This is easy to read. I like this. printed with line matching, so the lines match on both sides of the page, and that reduces show through because you're not going to see things between lines that stand out. And really, that's the only place you see any show through is where is in the poetic settings. In the prose, I don't really see any show through at all. So it does work well. Everything's lined up well. It looks good. And this is a black letter edition, so there's the New Testament. New Testament quotes are in all caps. Section headings are in maybe semi-bold, in italics, so they're easy enough to see. Poetry in the New Testament, which is usually an Old Testament quote, so you'll see those in all caps quite a bit. And black letter all the way through. And then back here, after the last book of Revelation, we have monetary units and weights and measures. So a couple of tables. And then concordance. This is a large concordance. It includes names, places, some explanations, so it describes what things are, able, qualified, for example. So it gives you a lot of information in here. This is a really good concordance. If I remember correctly, it's something like 16,000 entries, something along that line. I'll have all that information on the written review. Written reviews always go into more detail for that sort of thing. So quite a bit in here. I like this. See how many it has for God. Get an idea to help with study. I went too far, didn't I? So here's God. And then God, false deity, goddess, godliness, godly. So quite a bit for God. And then we have the Lockman maps. These are on the glossy paper, and you can see the colors there. I don't really know how to describe those colors. They have a sandy color with some texture, some annotations. They're easy enough to read and use, but they are shiny under certain light. The paper itself is not shiny under certain light. We're under direct light here, no glare at all, and then you see the glare on the maps. So there's those. Some annotations with scripture references. Cover quite a bit. And then several more thick-end sheets in the back, and these are matte finish. So that's a nice little Bible. Let's see the size and weight. Looking at about, if we bend that over, about 6 3/4. This is the overall size in case you need a case to put it in. 9 1/2. I have the perfect case for this too. I'll show you. And 1 3/4. And let's weigh it. Let's see. This thing weighs 3 pounds, 3.9 ounces. This is with my wife's new scale. So this is a pretty decent sized Bible. I don't know that I'd want to carry it around, but it's definitely doable. It's not as large as a large study Bible or anything like that. So I could definitely carry this around. It's especially good for preaching, especially if you don't have any issues turning slightly thinner paper. 32 GSM is not too thin, but at the same time, the coating does make it a little difficult sometimes, but not usually. Not a big deal. I usually don't have any issues with it. It's really good for reading. So I like this. I like the way this is designed. I like the way it's laid out. It's a well-made Bible, especially good for preaching because of how large the verse numbers are. Everything's easy to see and easy to find. And then, of course, teaching. If you can preach from it, you can teach from it. And then it's good for study because of the 95,000 cross-references. It's good for reading. One thing interesting in the footnotes is where a new chapter starts. You'll see a little red diamond. It's interesting. So let's compare it to another LSB. This is the inside column reference. It has the same 95,000 references, the same 14,000 footnotes, the same concordance, the same maps, the same tables. So everything as far as the content is the same. The only difference is going to be the layout and the font size, and then the block size. Part of what we're seeing here is the yap. It's thicker. The footprint is close to the same, actually. It looks a lot smaller because of the yap. But this one has thicker paper, 40 GSM if I remember correctly, and then a smaller font, and then a single column layout and verse by verse. So let's get to Lamentations. So here's Lamentations in both, just to compare the same book. Get an idea of what they both look like. And then both are black letter. Get to the New Testament in both. So there's what the New Testament looks like for both. And as far as which I prefer, I like both. It's hard to choose. It's just a matter of whether or not you prefer a single column or a double column, and whether or not you prefer a paragraph or a verse by verse. Usually, I read a paragraph over a verse by verse, but I also prefer single column, so that makes it a little bit more difficult for me. Overall, I kind of like the Giant Print, although you can't go wrong with either one. Both are excellent Bibles. So that is my quick look at the Giant Print Reference LSB in Burgundy Goatskin with thumb index. That is an excellent Bible. It feels well made. It feels like a quality Bible. If you're looking for a high quality LSB, this is a good choice. I recommend it. Like I said, 316 Publishing did supply this in exchange for an honest review, and that is my honest review. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll place links in the notes so that you can make a purchase if you're interested. I'll also place links in the notes to the written review with more information. And if you needed a case to put it in, they also sent me Bible armor to look at. This is the new case for Bibles. It is a sleeve that's padded, and the Giant Print fits in there with no trouble at all. I like that. So you can just pick that up with the handle and take that with you. No trouble at all. So I'll be doing a separate video on this, but that's an interesting case right there. I like that. I like that a lot. I'll also place links to this in the notes. Thanks for watching.